the fun begins.
Hello, welcome to the council. We begin tonight's meeting of the council by calling the council to order. Hello to everyone and thank you for joining us. The council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars, The Old Republic. I'm Elise, and with me are my fellow council members, Fredna.
That's great.
Said it. I couldn't have said it better.
Sakari.
That was very fortuitous. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good to have you here.
And Magic Ace is running a little late, may join us or may not. Tonight we're going to be talking about the upcoming update, which includes the Guild Heraldry features.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. And in 5 seconds, I'll actually be able to see my line.
This is what happens when you assign... Okay, basically, this is what happens when you take 2 weeks off, and then we all get back and we're all rusty. And then, like, we have technical issues right before the show, and things get slowed down.
So, after the live broadcast, you can find our recorded episodes everywhere podcasts are found and on our YouTube channel. Check out our social media and don't forget to follow on Twitch. You can find our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor, our Twitter at thecouncilswotor, and our website at www.thecouncilswotor.com. You can also find our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor. If you were curious, Patreon is actually spelled Patreon.
I was thinking, are you going to spell that whole Patreon address out to the bitter end? THECOU. It would have been a long evening here. Oh well, we're just getting started. Hey, and welcome everybody. Like, glad to have everybody back. Just kind of right before we get things going, we did announce 2 weeks ago that we are moving to a bi-weekly show schedule now. So we'll be every other week, just to kind of slow down our cadence and make sure that we're keeping a pace with things as they develop in SWTOR. So just making sure everybody knows about that. To get us started tonight, the icebreaker, as everybody knows, is just a little question to get the discussion juices flowing. So here's tonight's icebreaker. And I think I may have dealt a little too heavy-handed with this. I don't know. Maybe a little deep. We'll see. What games are you aware of, and I would like chat to answer this as well, that use heraldry? And what expectations do you have of heraldry systems as a result? Does anyone need me to explain the question, or is it fair, straightforward enough?
I get it.
Okay. All right. So the person I bet has the most experience with this, because she's got probably the most broad gaming experience, is Elise. So Elise, what experience do you have with heraldry, and how's it kind of framed your expectations for it?
There's 2 games that I've participated in that I have used, have used heraldry. One is Elder Scrolls Online and the other one is Destiny 2. I didn't really have any hand in designing the heraldry for Destiny 2. The guild I'm in Destiny 2 is the Dames of Destiny, and they have multiple clans. It's clans, not guilds. I just got put in the one that was open. So so I'm like the red clan or whatever. Now for Elder Scrolls Online, Unholy Alliance actually branched to Elder Scrolls Online, so I got to help the guild leader, who was Eric, for those of you who might remember Eric back in the day, to design it. So that was pretty cool. We got to pick the colors and what things displayed and
what did you
what
pick?
You would buy and put on your thing.
So while you're talking about it, explain to us briefly what heraldry is, because it dawns on me suddenly that not everybody may know kind of what that whole system is.
Well, it may very well be different per game. I would think not everybody has the same thing, but for us, it was our the symbol for your guild, like the icon and stuff that displayed. You had like a piece of armor that you would put on that would display for your for your guild.
Okay, and then it's got like whatever symbol you pick, right? So I imagine that they
Right.
probably have a set of symbols, and you can pick
Yes.
one of the
Exactly.
13, and then maybe put it against a field or some kind of background symbol.
Yeah, and there was
Pick the
a few colors.
colors.
Yeah, and so we had like a poll. I think Jesse's color scheme got picked. I swear there was some purple and yellow in there somewhere.
Purple and yellow, yes.
And I think there was some orange because Unholy Alliance was orange and
Yes,
orange
like
black,
yellow, right? Like kind of like a
yellow.
fiery.
So yeah, we had that, and I swear she threw some purple in there, but it might have been black. I'm trying to remember. It was a little while ago, but it was on this kind of like bib part. If you think about like right, Elder Scrolls Online is kind of is not kind of, but it's medieval stuff. So it's like the armor with the little bib thing that hangs in the front, and that's what it would be. It would be that kind of apron part that
Yeah,
knights would wear.
an
So
apron thing.
yeah, whatever that thing is called. I'm sure
Yes.
it has a name. I don't know what it is. I don't do jousting or any of that stuff.
Google
So
hard, Redna. Find the name of it.
whatever that thing is called, I'm
All
sure
I
it has
can think of is codpiece, and I'm pretty sure that's not it.
it's it's that.
That's the only piece of armor I know of.
If you watch A Knight's Tale, it's the fabric part they
The
wore over their armor, right?
the cod piece is kind of like the cup that you wear on the
Yeah.
outside.
The
Yeah.
jock strap, yes. But that's why you remember it. You know, like, hey, I'm all everyone's 12-year-old hard. I get.
I think primarily figures for in Elder Scrolls Online, if you do world versus world PvP, um, then it is, I believe, displayed more prominently in the PvP stuff, but I believe it's displayed whenever in your icon too. So when you're running around, so that's the sum total of my outside of SWTOR experience.
Sure. Okay. Not that there is one in SWTOR, right? Not yet.
Yes.
We will see. Redna, have you had any experience whatsoever with Heraldry? If so, okay, Unholy Alliance.
That's about the best I got from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
That's
Because
kinda
I'm the
cool.
Unholy Alliance GM. Somehow that happened. Which really means that I just have officers that I say, tell me what to do if I need to do something. Otherwise, you guys can run the show. It's great. But yeah, like basically a bunch of stock iconography from all the different eras of the legends of Star Wars stuff, from, you know, Sith icons to Republic icons to Empire icons, because they are different. Jedi icons. Like, this is a Jedi icon, but it's not exactly the Republic one, right? It's a bit different. So, which I had the Republic one around here somewhere too. Here it is. I just got this one. I'm really excited, actually. Well, can you see it? I can't see it.
Hold it
I
up
never
and let
opened
the
it.
camera. Oh, there's some gloss on it. That's what it is. That's why it's not.
Here. This is
That's
going
also
on my car.
Why it
This is
sounds
my
so
heraldry
crinkly.
for the car. Let's see if I can get it to work. No, it's not going to be friendly.
Okay, no, you had an angle there. You had an
Did I?
angle.
There you go.
Cool.
That's the Republic symbol. That's going in the back of my car.
The car decal, yeah.
Yeah. I've never put a decal in a vehicle ever. And my wife needed a few extra dollars on an order to get free delivery. And so I was like, ooh, add this.
So we know basically that the next kind of road rage incident that you get into, you actually get into a fight on the side of the freeway, will be with some guy that's got an Imperial logo on his car.
That would be perfect. I see a lot of that around too.
You do, I know. It's like my other car is a Royal Guard Interceptor or something. You know.
So that was the only place I can think of that I've encountered a game that had any form of heraldry, which really it was more like, you know, the guild symbol.
Right.
But so I Googled the definition of heraldry, and it's basically like, it's usually affiliated with either military organizations. So it's, you know, like Havoc Squad, if you're familiar with
That's
playing
heraldry,
a trooper.
absolutely.
Havoc
Yeah.
Squad has heraldry. And it's actually something that a lot of people, when the game first launched, there were certain places you could go where there would be, you know, a Havoc Squad shoulder on the armor, and like people would
Yeah,
do
because they
whatever
do
they
have
could to
a
keep
logo.
that. Right, because they
Yeah.
liked that logo. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit more creative, where, you know, maybe you can choose certain elements. And then presumably it's going to be for your guild, and then everybody in your guild will be able to have it embossed on your gear.
On your gear
That's how
somewhere.
it should work.
Yes,
But
we're going to
but
talk
I
about
think
that.
yeah, actually, I would like to know how it does work, because if the heraldry isn't wearable, what's the
Right.
point? Coat of arms is another type of heraldry.
Right.
So tapestries and stuff like that, those are also heraldry. So maybe it would be nice if you could actually create something that goes into your strongholds as well. A wall deco or something that changes to
That would be
guild
really
gear.
cool. Yeah, like some kind of or if you could put on a flag deco and
Yeah, exactly.
have it. That would be really
They have
cool.
wall hangings, tapestries
Yeah,
too.
they do.
So something like that would be really neat.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up showing up in the game. So let me answer real quick. My answer on this is there's two games that I've kind of seen something similar. One of them that I'm aware of right now is Diablo 3, and that is that because you can pick your flag, but it's not a guild thing, right? It's not you and your people. It's more just here's me. I've unlocked some options in gameplay that I've been able to do. So you pick your flag, you color it how you want, and then that when you log in, that's there next to the town portal kind of place.
Oh, okay.
The waypoint. So that's one. The other one that I am aware of is actually really strong with it was Guild Wars 1, which is what I was playing extensively before SWTOR. And Guild Wars 1 was very good at heraldry. In fact, everybody in a guild would have like a little like half cape. Well, not like a half cape like lengthwise, but like a thing that would hang down from your shoulder. It was maybe about that wide, which is really cool, like a scarf almost. That would have your symbol and your colors on it. I thought that was really good. But that was the only form of heraldry. There was no symbols elsewhere other than on as an optional piece that you could show on your armor, on your person. So to me, I think we've got two aspects of heraldry that we probably want to unpack a little bit tonight. One of them is going to be heraldry that you wear, like wearable heraldry, I guess, or stuff like symbols on armor, etc. And then the other one is going to be decos, flags, elsewhere that it shows up. And BioWare's made some announcements. At least we know two places that they have in mind as to where symbols will start to show up. But unpack that a little bit. So, if you are in chat with us tonight and you have seen heraldry elsewhere, by all means, let us know. Would love to know what you guys think about all of this. All right, so let's kind of get into the next section, our deliberation section. 5.10.2 is coming, and it's been announced, and there's really, from what I see, two aspects to it. The news piece in this, one of them is heraldry, of course, where you have the ability to create an emblem, a symbol, detail, and colors. And so what I would like to do is, if it's okay with you guys, just kind of bring up the title slide again and show the image that they've had out there. And it looks to me like what we can do is pick your symbol down in the bottom left there. It looks like a primary color and a secondary color. So you have a color wheel on the right. You're able to pick whatever color you want for either one of those. So there's your symbol, and then like bottom left, next to the left, looks like there's a field that you can kind of cycle through, pick something that goes behind it, and then pick the primary and secondary colors. So an icon in the
background.
Yes. So it looks to me like an icon in a background, but it looks like you've got primary and secondary colors for both of those that are customizable. And then of course a commit button. I don't expect that everybody in the guild will have the ability to access that. That's probably just like a guild leader kind of a thing.
There's probably a permission that can be granted to certain officers or whatever too.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. It's one of the things
like the ability to decorate your stronghold, one would assume.
Right. Yeah, and I think you can designate the ability to write the guild profile right now. There's like a recruitment message that you can have kind of as default recruitment. You can kind of classify your guild as, hey, we're social or we're more PvP or whatever kind of stuff. I think you can designate that out. So maybe this will join that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So that's one of the aspects is that. And then the other thing coming in, 5.10.2, is a preview window. I'd like to chat a little about this with you guys tonight as well. The preview window that we've had has done good so far with regard to showing armor pieces. How does this look, or how does dyes look with armor? As long as you've got the armor pieces in place first. What this is going to allow is it looks like it's more of an upgrade with regard to animations and visual effects. So
I
visual
thought that
effects.
I thought the current window was bugged with certain armor pieces going away, and you have a floating head.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Like a floating head. Well, there's been issues with it
Do
for
I
a
need to get
long
my
time.
green shirt back on? Become the floating head for the show?
You would be just like when you change.
You'd
There
fit
was
right
some.
in.
It would work, and then there was something that would trigger it to do that, and I can't remember what it was.
You opened the window.
No, like it would work for a couple. I don't know if it's because
Probably certain pieces when you try it, because you can change when you're doing a preview. You can actually preview different items that you have in your gear without equipping them.
Yes.
It probably had something to do with that process. Would be the best guesstimate I
I
got.
think it had to do with when you know how you can preview when you're buying something off the GTN.
Yes. Yes.
I think that was it, but I think collections worked fine. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong, but
That's right, because
that
you can
sounds
click
weird.
on links in chat in the items on the cartel market, yeah, all that stuff.
So I'm hoping they're fixing that.
Yes. It's
If
it's
we're
been
rolling
buggy in
out
a lot of
something new.
ways. There's been some issues with it for a long time. I remember they also changed the background at some point, so it looked like kind of prettier. But then, in my opinion, like most lightsaber colors look terrible against that background. Most of them, I don't ever want to equip that lightsaber color because it just looks so awful in that preview window. That too.
Yeah, and it's actually something that those people that have been playing the game for a super long time, it's been a low grade grumble that nobody's that upset about it, but the preview window actually doesn't render, and so like digging down into the weeds, you actually it is known that the preview window does not generate image or image quality the same way that your character is actually generated in game. So it's
Okay.
not an honest representation. Like, so certain colors don't render appropriately. So you might preview it one way, but then when you put it on, it actually looks slightly
Really?
different. Yeah, there have been a few moments actually when things were released on the cartel market that people got really upset because they previewed it. They're like, oh, okay, that's exactly what I want. And then they bought it and it wasn't what they were seeing in the preview window. And
Right.
they're like, ooh, I spent money on this. And what do this is a con or whatever, which isn't the case. But for whatever reason, when they designed that preview window, it literally, it does a different process of rendering the graphics than the game itself does. So I wonder if they might be actually in the process of also installing this animation button to show emotes, moods, rest and recharge abilities, that sort of stuff. I wonder if they're also getting it to be a more accurate representation
Right. Like
of
syncing it up.
of
It's
what you see in
it's an
game. Yeah.
actual rendering this time as opposed to just like what do they call it? They had a word for it that they used in the post that I'm probably gonna have to track down, but the word was weird. I'll give me a little while. I'll research it as we do the show and find out. But as
Does that have anything to do with the fact that if you put something, if you do some outfits change depending on if they're pub or inside?
No, that's different. That's different. Although that is true, and actually a lot of the reputation gear, the old reputation gear, which I
Mm.
actually loved that. You're right. There are certain pieces that if you're a pub tune, it looks one way. If you're an imp tune, it looks a different way. And like there are some that are dramatically different, like a headpiece with horns as opposed to just being a
right.
face mask. There are some crazy significant differences, but that can actually be a lot of fun too because some of them while they render differently depending on what faction you're on, you can't buy them on both factions. You actually have to send from one faction tune to another. So it makes it more of a unique gear item to have on the opposing faction, which can be pretty fun, especially now that they've implemented the whole die system. You can make it even more unique, and you just won't see someone else with your same look. But sorry, tangent. There are a lot of fun things about the customization of your character in this game that I think a lot of people tend to forget about.
Yeah, or they're underrated probably when you actually measure them up, against some
Right.
other games as well. Yeah, definitely. So coming to the preview window, as Redna mentioned before, animation buttons that show emotes. So basically, like beforehand, like if you bought an emote, the only way to preview it was to have seen someone else do it. Now you can actually like do the emote, and it'll show you what the emote looks like. And I think that's been long since needed. Moods, for one, you know, you get to see what your character looks like, you know, with a goofy face or whatever. And then rest and recharge abilities, those were could not be previewed in any kind of way whatsoever previously. So I think all of those are long since been needed. I don't know what they mean by visual effects are better displayed. Hopefully, you know, maybe it's something against the background. I don't know. One thing I don't understand quite, maybe you guys have a better idea as to what this means than I do, but the preview panel will show what combination of gear is shown. I don't know if there's like a labeling or something going on where they actually show you what the gear is that someone has on.
That would be my guess. So if you put on, like, say, a Zozan chest and
Mix and match, right? With some
then
of the stuff.
a Tula cord bottom, and then you're in there, say, for the GTN, and you're kind of pricing out stuff because you can do that.
Right.
You might forget what bottoms and tops you had on while you're shopping.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be helpful if that's
That
what
would,
they're going
yeah,
for.
that would be really, really cool. Like you go through and use the preview window to dress your cartoon, basically. But you have to search for all the different headpieces and whatever, then to be able to actually go back and know exactly each piece. Ooh, and if it was copy pastable or clickable, like to link in so that you could, like, say, click on
Link
the
it to
name
chat
of
or
it
something.
and it goes straight into the GTN field.
Shift click, yeah.
Yeah, shift click like you can for items in your bag. You can do
That
that
would be
to
cool.
put it onto the GTN to search for things. That would be cool if you could do it from the preview window.
Or send it to chat, maybe. Like, I think if there's a control click you can do to do that. It'll send it to chat. Interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see this work out. Also, another thing that's coming is that characters are now going to be displayed on their mounts as opposed to next to them, which I think has long since been, you know, like, why would I want to see myself next to my car? Can I just get in my car?
That's totally a 1985 move. I mean, senior picture, 1989 to 1990.
In a car.
Dudes leaning on their cars for their senior picture.
It's actually like a
You know, I never actually understood that. Like, it just seemed like the most asinine thing and kind of douchey. Like, hey, because I'm not cool enough without my car, so here's my car. Now pay attention to me.
I mean,
now I actually, for the first time in my life, have a cool car. And I get it. It's like, man, I really like my car.
You can
I
just
don't
pull a Joey
Yeah,
Tribbiani and just get the hat and the jacket, you know, the Porsche.
I don't think 18-year-old boys are really thinking about that. I just think that they're incredibly uncomfortable. The photographer's just trying to figure out any way to get these dudes to look
That's
happy
fair.
in this, like, senior picture. And so it's either bring in your dog or lean on your car. And, like, you know.
Actually, I might still pick my dog over my car, to be honest.
Really? Well, Morsick is a car guy, apparently, from chat. So, we, you know, hey, to each his own, I suppose, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think, I mean, here we are, 7 years into this game, and here comes Heraldry.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks, guys. Appreciate that. That's not something that we could have done earlier to
I totally think they waited a little too long for this. I mean, I think it's great. I'm glad they're putting anything into the game, but you can already see it now, right? People going, you spent your time doing this instead of actually making content? Like, we have to wait for how much longer for actual story content? I mean, you can already hear this being typed into the forums.
But so I get the feeling that this was meant with 5.10. I think it was
announced to be in 5.10.
It was supposed to be a 5.10 release, and then they realized they couldn't deliver on time, so they actually took two extra patches to do it. Which, hey, I'm all for that. By all means, get it right instead of deploying it wrong, because then that wouldn't go well either. But 5.10, you know, it's late. It's very late in the game. So I almost wonder, and maybe Elise, maybe you can put your tinfoil hat on. Is there a reason why now? Like, what is the? is there some kind of industry, something going on that maybe that'll speak to this? Do you have a?
You mean like reused content, like reused stuff that they play over and over again when they're like trying to figure out what to do with themselves? You mean that? Like
Yeah.
one of the standbys of a game that's trying to figure out what to do with itself when it's
So
5 years plus? Is that what you're
that's
talking
one of the things
about?
about the system. So the way that it was announced on the website, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna drive. This is gonna drive." It's, we've already done this other thing where we did like the ability to all other guild stuff that they've done, but this is something else that will drive guilds. Like it's gonna be great for guilds. But what I suspect happens is that only the guild leader gets to see it. The guild leader's gonna pick a symbol for their guild, commit, and now we've had our fun with it. There's like no more to be experienced
But
unless you're
didn't they
changing every
say
other day.
didn't they say something about it be displaying? Wasn't there supposed to be some kind of well, you're supposed to be able to see it, right, for Conquest, right?
Yes, so it'll show
That's
up on
what
the
it says,
conquest.
something about Conquest.
Well, the conquest
Right.
top 10 window, like how you have the top
Yeah,
10 people. It'll I think it'll
right.
be next to their names.
And isn't there something having to do with people being able to search for guilds going to be available into the game? I'm remembering something. I know SWTOR is doing something with that.
A guild search feature?
But I thought there was something that was supposed to be related to
That would
that
be
was
nice to have a
visible.
guild search feature that you could actually like
Yeah.
apply to join directly to the guild as a whole. And then officers were, notified and given you that grant.
But
So
I mean, don't
SWTOR
quote
is
me
running a
in case I'm
registry
wrong.
outside of
Yeah.
the game, which I'm sure, hey, if
That's
you've got a
outside.
symbol,
Okay.
by all means, like send that to her as well. But yeah, she's running a registry outside of the game just to kind of have let people. But it's not in game.
What are these many other places that was in the
That's what I
post?
was going to say. Because what we've got so far is it says it will be displayed in the general guild window, which means no one but guild members will see it. Okay, pointless. On the
Well,
conquest
yeah,
planetary
it's true.
leaderboards. So at least in that sense, if you're doing conquests and on the leaderboard, then it's got somewhere where it will be
Yes.
seen.
I
But that's
suspect it'll
my
be
question
like
for
the
you.
guild preview. It'll probably be in the guild. Would I be safe in assuming that the guild
What guild
preview
preview?
window? You can
What
you
guild
can
preview window?
you can click someone. Oh, how is it that you do it? You can click someone and view their guild, like there's a preview window now that they have. And there's like a, hey guys, we're happy to have anyone join us. Yes, there's a checkbox for yes, we're recruiting, or no, we're not. And there's like a scroller down the side where it's like we're only in game only, or we're really serious, or we're casual and friendly. You can kind of say stuff about your guild.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, get in sometime and check that out because it was one of the guild changes that happened recently. So I suspect that this is going to be a part of that. Will show up.
Yeah,
It
it
better.
says
Yeah, that would be a massive lost opportunity if it wasn't.
more information coming in April. So,
Well, so here's the
um,
question I have for the two of you. The many other places line.
Okay.
Where do you think those many other places need to be for this to be a more meaningful thing, right?
PvP, GSF.
Really, like a decal on your ship kind of a thing on
Yeah,
GSF. I bet you
yeah.
that would be easier to do. In all honesty, if you don't have an ability to show it on your characters, it's a waste of time. Personally, that would be my answer to that.
So what, like basically kind of like the, if you're a legend or whatever, it's got that, what do they call that? The
Flare. I think it
flare?
would be good
Like
for the
like a
the
flare.
flare.
So
That would be
it
pretty
could be a
cool.
Flare would
flare
be the
that's
only
next
place that
to
could.
your guild name, right? Display guild names and
Yeah, or your character name. I can't remember
Or
exactly
maybe
what
hovering
line.
above your head in the nameplate.
Yeah, it's in the nameplate,
But I mean,
right? I mean, that's
to
where
me,
your
okay.
flare goes
ideally,
now.
it would be great to have it on your person somewhere, like on your breastplate, or a cape or something. I know that's not what's going to happen.
See, I actually agree with that. I feel like this is all utterly pointless unless just walking around, there's some way for it to be seen. The other side of it too is, and I know you guys are like, for your example, Sakari was, the guild master goes in, he picks an icon, chooses some colors, clicks it, and walks away. What I would actually prefer to see is that maybe somewhere you can actually personalize, like you've all got the same icon and the same background field, but maybe you can play with the colors yourself. so you can individualize within your own guild, but still have a common theme, you know, in the patterning and iconography.
I see. I guarantee you that will not be allowed, but that would be cool.
I have to give it to Sakari.
Do you know how complicated it would be to, because all of that data needs to be saved somewhere, I would think.
Yes, and this game is a 7-year-old game. So, I mean, there's only so many things that you can kick the, engine to.
Well, and this is my biggest concern too, right? Is that I don't think it'll show up. Like, I mean, most of the Jedi and Sith armor, if it's a battle armor style, it actually does have a shoulder pad. So it'd be nice to see it at least on everybody's shoulder. But the problem is, like, they can't even get hoods to work on different species. Yeah. I just can't see them being able to skin onto a shoulder.
Yeah, I agree.
Or have hair stick out of the hood so that you don't look like Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever Adams.
Tuesday
with
Adams.
The hood. Do you remember how many people got all so excited with
about hood toggle, which we still don't have in the
hood? Game. Well, not even that, but just what's her name from Cotet, who had the hair coming out of her, like,
You're talking about Lana?
No. One of the
Senya.
kids,
yeah,
the
Valen.
Thank you. Valen had that hood where her hair, like, she had a bang in the front, and everybody was like, "Oh, can I buy that? And will the hair come with it?" And it was like, "No,
hood. You don't get
everybody
hair with
was
hoods."
Like, you heard the wah wah. At least the ladies I knew of that were like, "What?" Because that is the hoods. I don't like wearing them because they make you look. You're bald underneath it, and I spent all that time and money buying my hair. Why would I want to do that?
So I do think
like more money, more problems.
Right.
I bought this hair. I want to wear it.
That's right.
Like, I think that I would like to see, if we're talking about something in addition to on person, would be some kind of, like we were just mentioning earlier, like some kind of flag type deco or a poster or something where they create the poster and the poster is just a big variable for whatever your guild symbol happens to be, and then that shows up there wherever you put it.
Really cool that they might be able to pull something off like this is that, like, because tons of other games have this on all kinds of different platforms, is like a flag or that you can drop on the ground. So, and maybe it just stays there for 3 seconds or whatever, but you can drop it, it unfurls, and there's your heraldry, and it's on display for a few seconds. So, like, you capture a location.
So there is a pub and imp version of those. They're really old, like they're not even decos. They're more like emotes.
Oh, that's right. They actually have something similar.
Yeah, but it's just like, hey, here's the Imperial sign, and it rotates for a minute, and then it goes away. But
right.
Yeah, you see it on CZ198 all the time, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I think the idea was to do that when you're, like, basically, you kill someone of the opposite faction, and then you plant that on their corpse. I think that was really the idea. But hey,
open world PvP people are weird.
Yeah. Because you can't do it
it sucks to engage with other players.
How dare they plant a flag on my corpse?
Yeah, no, but see, so that would be something cool if it was something, like an emote or a rest and recharge ability, but it's something separate that you could then throw it out there and just put it on display. That would be something. That would be a big win. Like, okay, fine, maybe it's not on my person, but it's at least something I can show it off.
Right.
There needs to be some facility for you to show it off. Especially because then that would even drive some of this guild activity, right? Because you get a bunch of people out taking down a world boss, and they all drop their heraldry and take their photos of each other and post it around the socials and stuff like that. Like something like that where you could get the guild as a group together, and then they're all showing it off. We just took down Nightmare Nephra, or
right.
And everybody puts on their wings of the architect and shows their guild heraldry. I just feel like you need something like that, and then that really does drive
kind of pull a guild together,
interaction together.
Well, I, not to be a negative Nancy, that might work for the first month.
Yeah,
but that
this is not going to be a long term.
Longer than a month.
I couldn't agree more.
No, I know, and what it does is, because I'm thinking, it becomes a default behavior of the community for, like, the elite operations groups, those progression groups when they get boss kills and they always take their first kill pictures and stuff. I could see that just being incorporated as a common behavior. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
show off your guild. At least one person in the group is going to be showing it off every
Right.
time.
Oh, yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
at least in use in that fashion. But you're right. It's not going to actually be used as a function of driving the guild to do things for
Yeah.
very long. I agree with you on that.
This will be forgotten about a week after it gets implemented. I guarantee that. How about having your guild logo on the exterior of your guild ship, so that when you do that fly in, you know what I'm saying? You log into the game. If you logged out
Oh,
and
the
you on your guild
cinematic
ship,
as you fly in.
you actually see it on your ship. I think that'd be. Um, but I suspect after exhausting the ways that we could make this cool, there's about a week of excitement and then it's over.
Yeah, sadly, that's true.
You know.
And I mean, they're not even announcing it until April. So is that going to be at Cantina? I mean, is that when we're announcing this at the Star Wars Celebration, which is also in April?
Well, I suspect April is
I hope
supposed to be
not.
like a patch date, right? That's what I was gathering.
Yeah, it's supposed to be dropped in April. So one would assume
Right.
probably it's going down right around the same time as Star Wars
It
Celebration.
said
One
Heralds of
would hope,
Victory
though, if
coming in April 2019. It doesn't say anymore. Release of Heralds of Victory. There will be additional articles that will go more in depth about these changes that you can expect to see in the future. That's per the post.
yes. So we're going to get more leading up to the release of Heralds of Victory, which is coming in April 2019.
Right.
Which is funny, right? I mean, we're mid-March, so this is still a month out.
All right. So hold on. Let's do a quick pulse check. We were betting with each other about when the deployment of 6.0 would come. Who took quarter one? Was nobody? Because we're done.
None of us did. That's right.
We're done with quarter one. So now we're getting into quarter two, and they're just now talking about deploying 5.10.2 in April. There's talk about a quote unquote large
beginning of
future
Q2.
update, right? Which sounds like a 5.11 to me. And there's another thing. This is hey, we're meeting once every 2 weeks. Let's bring this up. There's been a lot of discussion on the forums right now where they're actually asking people, hey, PvP, how the matchmaking and the arena, how it picks the map. Here's kind of how it works. What do you guys think? Give us some feedback. So it sounds to me like they're revisioning some core pieces of this game for a quote unquote large future update. I just don't know what that, how that translates. So,
well, a large future update then is code for expansion, because remember, they've been refusing to utilize the term. What are you talking about, this Mythical 6.0? We don't know expansion. I mean, yeah, we said there was one coming, but we're not going to refer to it.
The
So, I
question
mean, it's
means,
possible.
though,
I was the one that put it down for Q2 just to be contrary.
hey, if you listen for Q2, you're
if
committed, my friend.
If I win for being contrarian, then I'm going to be really, really excited. I'm not hopeful.
Yeah, so Neff in chat says Christmas for 6.0. Let us know, guys, what you think. When do you think it's going to drop?
It just kind of is very interesting to me that I don't know what to think when they dodge the term expansion, because I think WoW still uses the term, right? Expansion.
Mm-hmm.
But Elder Scrolls Online doesn't. Destiny doesn't. Like,
they
does
don't
anybody
call
else
them
still?
expansions?
Mm-mm. So the way Elder Scrolls Online does it now is they have DLCs, which are short little story things, longer than what we got with Ossus, but not as big as a traditional expansion. It might be one area with like a story and
so in Kotet or Kotfi, that would be equivalent of like, hey, here's the next chapter, right? Or the next 3 chapters or something like that.
What Elder Scrolls Online calls their expansions now is chapters.
Yes. So I actually think, and I don't know, we're kind of off topic on this, but hey, I'm okay with it. What I think is happening is that there is some changes of thinking that are going on in software development, where there's like new cultures, and there's a new culture in software development that prizes working more often, quicker, smaller releases of content of useful stuff more often than big releases that take ages to develop. So, and I think I can see that in the game sales world. They're like, hey, if we keep throwing them fish, like they'll kind of stay here, keep eating the fish as we throw them out. So maybe
Right.
that'll train them to keep around.
That's
But
the
Oh,
games
that's what
as
Elder Scrolls said.
service. That's what games as service. The
right,
whole the theory behind games as a service really
games
is
as a,
supposed
yeah
to be.
as a service. But
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
I'm sitting here feeling like, oh yay, here's another little itty bitty bit, and you play it, and it's like 2 hours later, and like, okay, well I played that. So
Well,
it's almost
okay,
like
but
you're
that's the
waiting
thing.
for an
If I was
expansion.
getting a little itty bitty bit every month, I'd be totally down with that, you know? And maybe I unsub for a few months and come back, but then I've got 3 months of stuff to play through, and that's cool. But
Yeah.
BioWare has never demonstrated the ability to do anything with any kind of consistency, let alone rapid nature release. Remember that whole operation where they would be releasing a new boss every 6 weeks? That kind of turned into every 3 months, and then maybe a 6 month final boss. You know, it's like they aren't able to do little bits
Yeah.
frequently. Like they've
I mean,
never proven that ability.
Elder Scrolls Online manages to get you content out. It's usually a story and some kind of group content, either a new
But I'll bet you they're such
dungeon or a
bite-sized
new
chunks.
raid. It's every 3 months and plus a full expansion. So you get 4 of those
Oh.
plus a full expansion.
Chapter.
Because I think I
Oh,
don't think I'm being unfair saying that at this point
And it's a
everybody's
new
waiting for
area
6.0.
too, so it would be like a new planet. It would be the equivalent of a new planet on this in this game.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think actually to your point, Sakari, and they may be doing this, right? They may be trying to gear up and set up the framework, just like they did the whole, revamping all the operations so that they could maintain viability in end game no matter how many times they increase your level. They may be trying to rearrange and establish a framework that they could do something like that. But with the state of the game being where it is right now, they need a full traditional expansion
Yeah.
next. And then if they want to go forward with little bits, games of a service style release, I think that they could potentially do that if they could pull it off. But as it stands right now, if they just suddenly decide in a month or two, okay, guys, here's another little bit, and here's another little
Right.
bit, and here's another little bit, all you will ever see anybody ever say is, yeah, all you do is keep throwing cookies at us, but we haven't gotten anything for 3 years.
Yes.
No matter how many cookies we
but
get,
you know
they're
how
going to say, we haven't seen anything
Exactly.
for X amount of time.
And it's so unfair and untrue because one of the things I wanted to do in preparation for this show, actually, because what I do is I update the news, the ticker on the bottom and things. One of the things I wanted to do was like, hey, what kind of content have we had over the last X months? And if you actually go into there's a news section. Usually they show only about 3 posts, but you can show more than that if you want. You can click that link, and 5.10.1 dropped in February. Here we are in March. For the next one to drop in April sometime, as long as it's not all that late, is not actually a bad cadence, I think,
Okay,
for content release.
but it depends on what kind of content it is because not all
Okay.
content is created equal. So
Okay.
if you don't PvP, putting in a new PvP map
Is
means
irrelevant.
nothing.
Yes.
If you're not in a guild, getting new guild doodads is irrelevant. If you are all about story and you're a PvPer and you don't care in a large group content person, getting a 2.5 hour story content is not content. That was the benefit of getting those old style
Right.
expansions.
Everybody gets
The old
got
style,
something
everybody got
that made
touched.
everybody happy. But when
Yeah.
we drop in little
Right.
bits that just attack this little minority group and this minority group and this minority group, you've got a majority of the players who are getting left out. There's going to be
Right.
discontent.
Yeah,
'Cause you're
basically
not
what
spreading the
'cause
love
the way
everywhere.
you put it, right, is like, okay, hey, we put out a Nightmare Operations game. Okay, well, less than 1% of people play Nightmare Operations. So 99% of the people are like, hey, congrats, you gave them something. What about me? And if you're constantly dropping out, even if it's 5%, you've still got 95% of the people constantly saying, where's my stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I honestly think if you look at the forums, Sakari, you see that absolutely reflected in
Sure.
the forums. Somebody always comes up and goes, "Yeah, but we got blah blah blah," and everybody's like, "I don't care about that. Where's
It's
mine?"
irrelevant.
Like,
Yeah.
so I get that, and I'm sure that the developers are probably like, "Hey, we've been giving you stuff," but
Yeah.
sadly, you have to hit more than one group so that
True. Well,
everybody feels excited about it.
that's where like here we're talking about 5.10.2 coming out next month, right? And it's been 2 months since the last patch, which gave us some guild upgrades, I want to say, right? But really, what there is in this patch is an improved preview window, which is cool. I think it's been a quality of life improvement that is probably long overdue. And a heraldry system, which I don't think anybody will really care about. And I'm not trying to be unfair. I'm not trying to be salty. I'm just trying to be
No, what you're saying is that it might be cool, and there are going to be
sober-minded.
some people that think it's fun, but it's going to have no long-term impact.
Yes, and so what happens is that then when is the next patch? 2 months after that, 5.10.3 or a 5.11 or something. And it just like even though there are patches of things that are definitely useful and I mean like I'm happy to see them in the game, like Elise said earlier. It's just not going to count. You know what I'm saying? The community is going to be like, eh. You know, but if I had to choose between like more story right now or guild heraldry, I would hands down pick more story. You know?
I would say that's probably true. Going back to what Redna said earlier, though, if they had flipped it,
Okay.
which is one of the reasons why I said that a little bit earlier, is if they were getting, a big expansion that hit everybody out in the next 2 months, let's say, and then they were doing this heraldry thing and a new PvP map on top of it, and everybody would be like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much content! We just have so much to do," because you'd have all these people who are still working on that big expansion, but they're doing it. It feels like they're doing it exactly the opposite, where it's, we're dibbling out stuff and then we're going to hit you with something at the end of it that's big, maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know, but it's just the
I guess
way
that's
people perceive.
That's the way that I'm seeing it right now, is that they're doing a bunch of little things in preparation of a big release. But if it doesn't culminate in a big release, then
Yes.
it's a whiff. It's just like, oh, cool. So we got all these little things and nothing for it. That's the way it's gonna feel.
So I want to say, like the last few chapters we had with like the traitor storyline was kind of like and I'm gonna forget the terms now, but the forged alliances leading up to Shadow of Revan, right? There's 4 of them. They came out. Here's one. They advanced the story a little bit. They primed the story. They set it up, and then boom, there was the expansion, and it came out. I feel like we've just come through that, and we're like, okay, it's expansion time, and then nothing, for X amount of months. So I'm wondering almost if it's more of a timing issue.
The other really fascinating thing is because I'm remembering about all the other expansions in the past, and in particular, I'm remembering, like, right now I'm thinking of Coffee.
Right.
Yeah, that was the first one that came out, right? And BioWare traditionally has been pretty good about overhyping, right? And making it seem way bigger than it is. And we're not getting that this time, right? Like, because Coffee was like, hype, 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 hype. And then I was like, oh my God, that's it? I got a bunch of spacebar cinematics and that's it, of some of the worst storytelling the game's ever seen. Like,
I thought it was okay.
But
I know
it was cinematic, that's for sure, but I liked it.
My perspective, my experience. Right? I'm not speaking for anyone else, but that was my experience. It's like, oh, wow, and and because of that stupid Dark versus Light event, I went through and played naked every single advanced class from 0 to max level, right, and played through all of that content, and I'm like, wow, this is like, I was way underwhelmed. And I remember most of their expansions being that way. They overpromised or overhyped, and it was like, dude, if you had set some realistic expectations, this would have been amazing. And instead, it's like, since you overdid it, there's this whoosh sound and a feeling of disappointment. I wonder if maybe, like, if you look at this in a positive fashion, this could be they finally learned that lesson, and the whole not wanting to use the term expansion, not wanting to refer to 6.0, they're actually doing an undersell. Like, maybe for the first time ever, this game could be having a solid, complete expansion on the board, but they're not overhyping it, so that when it comes out, it could actually be, oh, thank God, we actually got a real expansion, a complete piece of a content package that touches everybody and lets people be happy. And we really are seeing these little foundational things being established so that when they release it, they can release the expansion, they can have new aspects to heraldry that they had held back on, kind of like Anthem's doing right now. They've got a bunch of extra gear, but they're not going to release it right away.
Right.
That sort of stuff that they may actually be just setting up for a good expansion. It's possible, right?
Yep. And then the flip side could be that they don't have the funds or the
Right, here we go.
marketing team
Yeah.
or the people to be able to do any of that. And so they're just like, hiding their hand and like making us all think this is all like because they're playing three-dimensional chess, but really they just don't like have it.
Basically, it's like the Wizard of
like
Oz.
devil's advocate.
It's the Wizard of Oz. Everybody, it's like, oh, roar, this is so great. And then somebody pulls the curtain, and it's this dude.
Right. I mean, I'm
like
not
with all
saying
these sticks.
I don't know what's going on right now. I don't. I mean, you got Casey Hudson came out like 4 or 5 months ago and was like, "Oh, there's going to be some great stuff on Twitter." He said this, and SWTOR, just pay attention to this year or whatever. And then that's the last time he said anything. It was like 6 months ago.
And then the great stuff was no roadmap. Till San Diego Comic-Con. Not going to talk about an expansion.
We're going to do
no roadmap.
It's like, yeah, we haven't had a roadmap yet. Remember, they're not doing it.
Yeah.
But they're going, waiting to see us in the celebration.
So I kind of want to talk to something because we have 3 minutes left here. I kind of want to talk to something that I know is an ongoing discussion that right. We had a tough episode about it. What is the future of the game? What is its long-term longevity? Does it seem like it's deflating? I think, and one of the things that we as the council have definitely made an effort to be is to boldly take on topics and be honest and enjoy the conversation, but at least not be, I think we all unite around the idea that we'd love this game to continue, right? But it's just right now I perceive some deflation. Am I fair in saying that? And I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be awesome. I just. Are
we talking about the game or us?
About the game specifically.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, so we as the council are dependent on the game, right? If there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about.
I mean, that's true.
So.
No, I mean that's.
It's fair. I mean, we're talking about a game that's plus 7 years if you take in the time that it's been live plus beta alpha access. We're at least at 7, or is it 8? I wasn't there for that, so I don't remember exactly. But you're going. There's only one game that has managed to keep cruising along past this time with no hitch, and that's WoW.
So Ultima Online.
I would not. I would actually
Eve
argue
Online
against the fact that it was without a hitch. WoW actually did go through.
I mean, I agree, but you know what I mean. It's still putting out expansions at year 14.
It's rocking and rolling still. Yeah.
I'm not talking about things that are in a modified maintenance mode either, which would be Ultima Online right now.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm talking about, firing on all cylinders, still putting out content on a regular basis, new content, and the player base is relatively satisfied with what they have to play with. That will never complete, but you know what I'm saying. That's what I'm using as my example.
Sure.
Most games are slowing down at this point in time unless they have a sequel on the horizon or some major overhaul, right? We haven't heard about any of that to this end.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that the general feeling of deflatement is actually tied together. One, you've got the lack of the roadmap. Two, you've got the inability of SWTOR to have ever marketed effectively in any way, shape, or form. And then three, their lack of communication, just habitual, which is a BioWare corporate-wide issue that they don't like to share too much. They like to keep
cards
things
are very
wraps.
close to the chest, kind of strategy.
Right, and I don't feel like they're doing a good job of the deflatement comes from the fact that they are not with the change of direction in how they do communicate with us. They're not adjusting in order to at least provide the community with fodder to mule over, right? Like basically,
Mule.
if you're not going to be giving a roadmap, then you
Okay.
need to at least offset by some form of
Yeah.
communication. Like the easiest way that they could actually get people back up and just happy talking about things is to even spitball. Just say,
Yes.
we've thought about this. You could even
I
say,
think they're
we were
doing that,
working on
though.
this idea,
I
but
think
we've
they're
decided
doing
to
that.
shelve it.
Yeah, but I think if I could add on to what Redna's saying, I know we
Okay.
don't have very much time, is that it can't be little quality of life stuff. And the majority of the patches you're referring to were, I would call them quality of life ones. The player base does not get excited about quality of life things unless there's some huge bug that makes your person blow up every time somebody points at you in the game and suddenly they fix that. That
Quality
would
of
be a
life are
quality of life.
nice.
But we're talking about people do not get excited about quality of
Yes.
life things or bug fixes. People are like, "Oh, you should have done that years ago," right?
Yeah, I would
That's how
certainly not
people
go
react.
to a game. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Like if I wasn't playing this game, Heraldry would not bring me back, but story
correct.
would.
But I mean, even the spitballing that Redna is referring to, I actually think that's actually a great thing. DE Digital Extremes does it all the time for Warframe. People get really hyped about it. There's lots of posts, but none of them are quality of life ones. They're like big pie in the sky ideas that people get time to theory craft and go, oh, if you did this and blah blah blah, and it gives them something to do for a while. But what they're
Dude,
doing on
yeah,
the
like
forums
all they
right now
even need to
is totally
do,
like,
they could
hey,
straight
what would you think if we did this for PvP? Do you have any ideas? And blah blah blah. Like, we need we're gonna bring in open world PvP, and it's gonna be world versus world. You're gonna bring your clan out, and you're gonna or your
Better than
guild out.
cross
You're gonna
server.
whatever, and it's gonna be better than cross
Yeah.
server. Like
it,
that is what they need to do.
or they could
Something.
even go with something as simple as, hey guys, if we were adding a new advanced class, what would you like to do? We're not saying that's on the table. We just wanted to get your feedback on it. Man, that would be months
Putting
of
stuff on the wall
fodder.
of crazy. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
a new
just
playable race.
right. Just start talking about the wall of crazy again.
Yeah.
Period. You know?
No, I agree. But then you got to be careful. But yes, I agree. It would certainly generate some hype. But then, like, if you do that without actually coming out with something cool sooner or later, it's kind of like in poker, right? You have to, every now and then, you have to actually not be bluffing. You have to actually pull it off in order to make your bluffs work. And I think that would kind of be the key.
That's true. There's one more thing before we wrap it up here that is also the specter of doom that is depressing the game somewhat, and that is the uncertainty with having Anthem on the playing field.
Yeah.
Yes.
The kind of mythos that's gone around in the community over the last year is the reason why we haven't gotten any content is because of Anthem. And I think it's been an inconsistent response from BioWare Austin about whether or not that's true or not true. You get denials, but then BioWare a lot of times will fent to a denial when really it really isn't a denial. Sometimes they do that kind of stuff.
Or they say, no, we don't have staff going to Anthem. By the way, so-and-so has left our team and joined the Anthem team.
Or suddenly you hear about
they leave the
going,
company.
today's my last day at BioWare. It's been 12 years of happiness.
They're exploring new opportunities.
I'm getting, hi guys, 2 days later, I'm now working at Phoenix Labs on Dauntless. Isn't it awesome? And then 3 months later, the studio closes. That's what happened with BioWare Montreal. But anyway. So I really do think that all of those things together are contributing to this kind of cloud of doom a little bit that's hanging over the game. And BioWare really would be, it would be in their best interest to do something about one of these things that's a positive of some kind. Even just coming out and saying, Anthem has nothing to do with us, we're independent, or what Redna said, or hey, here's actually a roadmap. I mean, something.
Right.
They need to do something. The community is coming up with way too much on their own that none of it really is good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, people start, I think, to look to the, give us some news, somebody, data miners. What do you have for us? So you drive more of that if there's too much of a drought. All right, so let's jump into the announcements real quick. There's actually a bunch of things going on, believe it or not, somehow. Their PTS is live right now with all of the preview stuff that we've been talking about. So get on the PTS. By all means, check out the preview window. And there's a bunch of questions that they're asking. Oh, the word that I was looking for earlier was paper doll. What are your thoughts on the new paper doll as one of Musco's questions? Paper doll. So I think that speaks to Redna. You know, he was saying like it doesn't render it the same way it renders your character. Maybe that's what they're calling.
Oh, is that the preview screen?
Yes.
Is that what
Yeah,
they're calling it, the paper doll?
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
So go check
Where you
out the
play
paper
dress
doll.
up.
Check out your new paper doll, right, and see how that works. Some other things as well. Lots of PvP discussion going on. Talking about what would you do maps. PvP discussion on cheating and how people get banned, etc. That's going on. There's actually a lot of discussion on the forums going on right now. The only other big news item that is around right now is the Chicago Cantina, which is happening. Looks like Saturday, April 13th at 7 Central. So if you are in Chicago, if you're there doing the whole Star Wars celebration thing, be sure to drop by. Go see Musco and friends.
And
So they're having both
us,
the
there's
cantina,
2
and
of
then
us here
they
going
also
there.
have a presence at Celebration as well.
Is
right?
what
They've
I
got a
think
booth.
so. I do know that the SWTOR content creators are kind of working in league with SWTORista. Well, I think they have a booth or something like they
We
will have
do?
a
Right.
presence. So that definitely go jump and it's being staffed. Elise, are you doing
we're
any
gonna
time
be
on
there.
it?
Yep,
Sweet. So
I am,
there-
and so is Magic Ace, I believe.
yes. So people will be members of the council, but not just us. People from all over the content creator community in SWTOR will
Yep.
be there at certain times. So definitely make a few trips going by. It'll be cool.
There's gonna be stuff given out. SWTORista has just been like, she is like,
Yes.
wow.
She's got like swag, guys.
She's
SWTOR
got
swag.
So you gotta come by and get it. We
I
got a big
know.
old thing for SWTOR, I think. It was really interesting to see all the stuff you have to do from behind the scenes. Kind of funny.
Is there any value to this?
The
You guys-
Nosteral. I love that thing.
Yeah.
I have
I
2
don't
or 3
know.
copies of it.
I've
I
got all
have
these
one of those.
signatures in it and everything. You
Oh,
know,
no,
Maybe.
that makes it cool.
all the original developer signatures and stuff.
That makes it cool. Like, yeah, mine's unsigned. The
I just
Nosteral
came
journal
across
is cool.
that this week, actually.
Cool as that.
So thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody that's in the chat room. Thank you, Redditors. Thank you, trolls. Thank you, lovely people. We adore you. Thanks so much for coming and for listening. I guess that brings us to the end of the episode. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor. You can find Elise on Twitter at abrown35, Magic Ace at the Magic Ace, myself at R3DN4, and Sakari at I am Sakari. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor, where patrons can catch the articles we're talking about behind the scenes and exclusive backstage access to our after show chat. That's it for this week, guys. I can only protect you. I cannot fight a war for you.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.